I don't really find the typical horror movie monster to be scary. Like, okay, obviously when the movie is well directed and builds tension effectively and makes me give a shit about the characters, then yeah, I get freaked out by like Freddy Krueger or whatever. But monsters are so detached from reality that they don't really incite like genuine fear in me, you know? I'm afraid of Freddy in the movie, but once the movie ends, so does the fear. But there is one monster who actually scares the fucking shit out of me, and that is a killer robot. Have you ever really thought about how fucked up it would be to be chased by a killer robot? Or worse, caught by one? They don't feel pain, they don't feel fear, they don't hesitate, they don't feel regret. I mean, like, even something as simple as trying to grab the robot with your hands could end with you getting your finger sliced off if they get caught in its joints or something. Have you ever seen how strong machinery is? I can't show it on YouTube, obviously, but not too long ago, I saw a video of a dude in a factory just get both of his arms effortlessly fucking removed by a hydraulic press by accident. That's horrific on its own, but now imagine if that hydraulic press had arms and legs and a desire to fucking get. Not only that, but robots are like, real? We have them. It's only a matter of time until they start sending robots out to murder people. And so in honor of that, and Spooky Month, I decided to make a build to become a killer robot very loosely based on one of my favorite movies of all time, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Hi everyone, my name's Diabetor, and this is my Golem Fist Terminator build. If you find this video helpful, please leave a like, share the video, and consider subscribing. It really helps me out. Special thank you to The Story of Us in a Bus and now Mini Cake for joining my channel as members. If you want to see your name exalted in the Hall of Insulin and also get access to some special perks and support me, then consider joining my channel as a member. The Golem Fist is one of the Smith script weapons added by the DLC. Its special gimmick is its heavy attack, which launches the fist a short distance. As a range attack, it actually kind of sucks, but it does look cool, and at point-blank range you can do some significant damage with it. Between robots being able to kill you by just walking up to you and casually ripping your head off, and the awesome concept of the Rocket Fist, I decided that this would be the perfect weapon for a robot build. To realize the idea of a lumbering, unstoppable metal man, we're going to be using Ironjar Aromatics and the Endure Ash of War. Ironjar Aromatics are a craftable perfume which turns your skin into metal for 40 seconds. This makes you drastically tankier at the cost of forcing you to walk slowly and heavy roll, and also makes you super weak to lightning. We're going to offset that by using the Endure Ash of War, which increases all of your damage negations by 45% and makes you completely immune to almost any stuns for 3 seconds. It doesn't last long, but you can cast it as much as you want to maintain the effect as needed. So basically, what this build is going to do is let you slowly walk up to the bad guys and fist them to death. As usual, I make my builds at level 125 using the Wretch as my starting class. These are just my personal preferences, and you can take this build to any level you want using any class you want. Your final stats will look a bit different, but the build will still work just fine. If you want to make this build from scratch, then the most optimal class to use would be the Hero. First, let's go over the stats. We've got the usual 60 Vigor, which is always the most important stat for any build, and especially one whose gimmick is being tanky. Then we've got 17 Mind for some FP overhead, which is important because we're going to be using Endure a lot. And we've got 34 Endurance for equip load to wear big tanky armor, and Stamina. This is one of the few times where having high stamina is actually important, because the Golem Fist charge heavies consume a fucking ungodly amount of stamina, so you're gonna need it. As for our damage stats, we're going to be a strength build because it's an effective way to run the Golem Fist, and because I don't want to make like 16 bleed builds for the month of October. The Golem Fist, like all Smith script weapons, has a low intelligence and faith requirement, so we've got 11 int and 12 faith. Faith is at 12, not 11, because there is also a buff spell that we're going to be using. Dex is at 10, because that's the minimum for the Wretch, and the Fist only requires 8, and then I dumped every remaining point into Strength, which brought it up to 50. Now let's talk about the weapons. We're running the Golem Fist with the Heavy Affinity and the Endure Ash of War. Endure makes you immune to stuns and gives plus 45% to all damage negation for 3 seconds. It's a short amount of time to work with, but you can cast it pretty much as often as you want, so you can effectively always have it up. Just keep an eye on your FP and stamina so you can actually cast it when you need it. Not only is it great for being tanky as fuck while beating shit to death, but you can also use it to safely drink healing flasks, cast spells or buffs, or re-up your Ironjar Aromatic buff, so Endure is an essential tool for this build. We've also got a Dry Leaf Arts with the Golden Vow Ash of War, which you'll use for its 11.5% damage buff and 7.5% damage negation buff. I use the Dry Leaf Arts specifically because they're the lightest weapon you can put Golden Vow on. We've also got a Dragon Communion Seal for casting buff spells. We don't have any offensive spells, so the seal's incant scaling doesn't matter, and so I used the Dragon Communion Seal because it's weightless and is really easy to get. Up next are the Talismans. We're going to be using the Golem Fist charged heavy attacks, so we've got the Axe Talisman to boost charged heavy attack damage by 10%, and the Smith Script Talisman to boost thrown Smith Script weapon attacks, like the Golem Fist charged heavies, by 10%. We've also got the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman to boost our physical negation by 20%, making us tanky as fuck, and we've got the Great Jar's Arsenal to boost our max equip load by 19%, which saves several points in endurance while still allowing us to medium roll with heavy armor. Speaking of armor, we're going to be using the Solitude set for this build, using the Altered Chest Piece, and for the helmet we're going to use the Royal Remains Helm. This set looks awesome, and in my mind it kind of looks like a T600, which is the most important part. It also provides significant damage negation and more than 50 poise, helping to make us much more tanky. Finally, we've got our buffs. We've got Golden Vow as an aura buff, and the Golem Fist can't be buffed with weapon buffs, which is pretty dumb. The Ironjar Aromatic is a body buff, so all we've really got in terms of spells are health regen buffs. Therefore, since the Golem Fist requires 11 faith to wield, I put 1 extra point into Faith to bring us up to 12, so we could use Bestial Vitality, which regenerates 5 health per second for 120 seconds. This is nice to help conserve flasks while exploring, or for a little bit of insurance during boss fights. I mentioned that the Ironjar Aromatic is a body buff, meaning we unfortunately can't combine it with buffs like Flame Grant Me Strength, Howl of Shabriri, or even something like Lightning Fortification to offset its lightning negation penalty. With that said, just because Ironjar Aromatics are part of the build doesn't mean you always have to use them, and there are cases where it's good not to use them. For example, if you don't want to get one-shotted by lightning attacks from bosses like Commander Nile, or if you're exploring and you want to be able to run and jump, you shouldn't use them. In these situations, you can make use of other body buffs like Boiled Crab for plus 20% physical negation, or Exalted Flesh for plus 20% physical damage, or something like a Fortification spell for plus 35% elemental negation. I'll note that you could totally take 3 points out of Endurance and put them into Faith for something like Flame Grant Me Strength, but I feel like the extra bit of stamina is more useful during boss fights, and the aromatics are the build's gimmick anyway, so I didn't do that. In the Wondrous Physic, we've got the Opaline Hard Tier to increase all our negations by 15%. Combined with Golden Vow, the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, the Armor, the Ironjar Aromatics, and Endure, you'll be basically unstoppable as long as the enemy doesn't do lightning damage. We've also got the Spiked Crack Tier to boost our charged heavies by another 15%, meaning they'll do a fuckload of damage. I'll note that the Thorny Crack tier would be my preference here, but unfortunately the Smith Script weapon's heavy attacks don't proc the multi-hit buffs, so it would be useless in this build. Speaking of this build, that's it for this build. It turned out to be a lot stronger than I expected, and I had a ton of fun making it, and I hope you have a ton of fun using it. If you found this video helpful, then please leave a like, share the video, and consider subscribing or joining my channel as a member. It really helps me out. My name is Diabudor, and I will catch you later.